Welcome you all to this webinar on global health security and COVID-19 epidemic issues in perspective. This is organized by Research Council of North Lakhimpur College Autonomous and Internal Quality Assurance Cell, IQAC, North Lakhimpur College Autonomous. And I'm very glad that four of our panelists have agreed readily within a very short notice to provide their opinion on this very crucial issue. And we would like to start with this meeting by the welcome address given by our principal. So I'm going to play a short video that has been posted by him. Uh, just wait for a second.
Hello everyone. I am Dr. Biman Chandra Setia, Chairman of Research Council and Principal of North Lakhimpur College Autonomous. Welcome you all to the first ever webinar organized by our institution titled Global Health Security and COVID-19 Epidemic Issues in Perspectives, organized in collaboration with IPC of our college. We all know that COVID-19, or popularly known as coronavirus, has been creating a serious concern for human beings. Almost all the nations of the world are suffering due to it. Therefore, there is a need to discuss more about its details. I am glad to inform you all that our institution has taken initiatives to aware people of these issues since its inception. We believe together we can fight this epidemic. So on behalf of organizing committee, I welcome the panelists and the participants to this webinar. Let us make this webinar a success. Thank you very much.
India. I would like to welcome Dr. Pankaj Kumar Sharma. He's an assistant professor from KVV SAS University, Assam. We have amongst us Dr. Kostov Deka, assistant professor, Department of Political Science, Dibrugarh University. We have amongst us Dr. Dipmoni Gogoi, MET University, New Delhi. We have amongst us panelists Dr. Yogen Bhutia, assistant professor from SRM University, Andhra Pradesh. And we also have a good number of participants from our institute and also from other parts of Assam and India. I can see some of my esteemed colleagues have also participated, and my student friends. So I welcome you all to this webinar, which includes a very, very important issue which all of us are going through. We see that the entire world now has been under this epidemic called COVID-19, and due to this COVID-19, the entire global health security situation was put in a very serious question. So we need to redress and understand what is the impact of this COVID-19 on this global health security. We will make a discussion on it. Regarding the question hour. Now, I thank you, and I would like to welcome now Dr. Dipmoni Gogoi from MET University. He will be talking about role of media communication in projecting global health security during COVID-19. So, Deep, are you live?
Yes, sir. Yes, da.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so
over to you. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So means I have a small four slide, so I'll be sharing my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so means can you see the screen there?
Yeah, I can see you only. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, we can see you. Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so means the slides are very basic actually to give a general idea regarding the role of media during COVID. So one of the important things we should understand is that media plays a very, very important role, as we all know, and more so in times of a public health crisis. But we don't necessarily see media as a very central to the whole concept of this whole concept of public health. But the media can actually play a very, very important role and a central role. So in case of India, unlike the US, where the media had some reservation, basically the right wing media had some reservation regarding the whole issue of lockdown. But in India, we have seen that there is some form of agreement among all the media houses when they are actually means aiding the government in successfully implementing the lockdown. So, which is a very, very good thing. But there are some problems with the Indian media, a lot of problems actually. So, what we can say is that we got a lot of information from the media, and whatever information that we know till now from the very beginning of this whole pandemic, because of the media, different forms of media we read, uh, newspapers, we are watching a lot of television, we are surfing the World Wide Web, and from the very beginning to the present time, we are actually having a lot of information regarding what exactly is the media. Okay, but one of the thing is that public health or means policy, the media doesn't necessarily actually promote this whole concept of public health. Okay, so, but then it can actually play a very, very important role. And what we have seen in the US is that the condition is very, very bad. Actually, the problem with US is also the fact that they doesn't have a public health. The government doesn't support a public health system, unlike India. However, we are doing, I think, to some extent, we still have this whole concept of public health where government hospitals are still functioning. So news media, one of the, I think if the students are there, I would also like to tell that the media's important role is that we call it as so the media can actually set the agenda and it can draw attention to various aspects of public health. Okay, so then the news media can also act as a catalyst community level. And we have seen several examples in which the media, not only the news media, but advertising and radio and other media have actually played a very, very important role in creating awareness with regard to HIV, AIDS, or we can talk about successful campaigns that the government of India had run in terms of the polio eradication. And also the media had played a very, very important role in the TB and in the AIDS. Okay, so all this point out that the media had played an important role and it is actually a crucial aspect when we talk about public health. So when we talk about COVID-19, COVID-19 as the name actually comes from the year 2019, the virus family of SARS coronavirus. Okay, the WHO announced a mystery pneumonia on 31st of December 2019, and since then the virus have been identified as SARS-CoV-2. The disease is named as COVID-19, and from then on, until March 3rd, 72 countries have been identified with tens of thousands of people testing positive for the virus. So now I'll come specifically to the whole concept of reporting on COVID-19. So one of the important features is that I think other speakers have also spoken of is the very fact that COVID-19 is a story which is emerging. We are regularly getting new information, be it regarding vaccination or be it regarding the safety precautions that has to be taken, or all the informations are very, very we are actually the information is emerging. So the will have to be really up to date and they have to really be very, very careful while posting information to the public so that since the people are actually a lot more dependent on the media, they will have to present facts um, so that the people can actually trust the media. Okay, so one of the things that we have seen in the US is that the president himself, the US media also fighting not only misinformation regarding the coronavirus, but also the president himself, the information that is coming from the president himself has to be fact checked and then it has to be presented. So which is not happening so much in India, but then it is happening. So the media will have to be very, very careful because we are getting constant information. One of the previous panelists have talked about the use of hydrochloroquine. But then in later stage, we have also received information saying that hydrochloroquine is actually problematic in several cases and it cannot be actually prescribed by doctors or health workers to the patients. And then now we have several other emerging facts. For example, there's a new medicine called Remdesivir, which is also used uh, for some other disease, but then it can also be used for, it has been used successfully by doctors in case of COVID-19. So basically, my point is that the journalist will have to be kept abreast of whatever is happening. But what we have seen is that the media in the past 2 decades, we can say, is that it has saw a huge layoffs in terms of journalists. Now we don't have like most of the newspapers or media organizations are actually cutting down on their budget, and we don't get reporting from rural areas, and most of the reporting are mostly prime time. Actually, if we look at television and all newspaper pages, we see that there's a very very less amount of reporting from different parts of the country. So there is also like cut down of journalists interpret scientific information, and then it can make it available to the public. So the news organizations will have to rethink regarding training of journalists so that accurate information can actually be given to the public. Okay, so the second point that I would like to talk about is that this whole COVID-19 is not only a science story; it's more than health science story. It has, like the previous panelists have talked about, the various other aspects. We are regularly seeing these images of migrant workers, the problems that they are facing, and one of the most important aspects which the media will have to bring into fore is the very fact that food is going to be a huge crisis, and a huge amount of, like a large section of the Indian population who are working as daily wage laborers will find it very difficult to get. So one of the reporting area the journalist or the media will have to focus a lot is the whole concept of food, actually, how food is being distributed, and it has to keep in close, like it will have to bring government into account, like what are the ways in which it's being distributed, and are they being distributed or not. Media will have to play an important role. And in the same point, I'd also like to draw attention to everyone is the fact that the media itself is also a story. If you look at the news reports, we have seen that media is also been struggling to cope up with its revenues. So many newspaper organizations have actually gone for layoffs. For example, Times of India, their entire reporters of the Sunday magazine have actually been laid off. So they are no longer working. So the media is actually seeing a lot of cuts in terms of revenue, which will also impact media in an adverse way, also in the way the media is reporting stories. Private, most of the corporates will cut off their advertising revenue. What will also happen is that the media will become more and more dependent on government's revenue system. They will be dependent more on government revenue, which might actually pose a problem. And we have already seen that the Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Information Broadcasting have reached the Supreme Court in order to stop the newspaper organizations or the media houses from reporting on COVID. They wanted the media houses to report only the government version of the stories. So the Supreme Court have actually started that whole thing, and then it can report on the COVID and various aspects of it. So what we can say basically is that the COVID-19 is not only a health story and a science story. It have to focus on the various other aspects, and media itself is one of sufferers in the whole thing, like many other sectors. Okay, so the third point is about misinformation and stigma. So thing that we have seen is like whenever there's an outbreak, communal outbreak, or whenever there's any incident, we often see that social media is full of stories, and many of the stories are actually misinformation. Okay, for example, we have seen how in the whole COVID story had emerged in the media. We have heard about how this virus was actually engineered in a lab as a bioterrorism agent. And also, we have seen how there are many rumors regarding how this many of the symptoms are caused. It has been said that many of these symptoms are caused by 5G mobile networks. Then we have also seen that there's a lot of listings in Amazon. Of products which can treat COVID-19. So all these are misinformation, and the media will have to play a very, very important role in highlighting the misinformation. Then one of the other challenges I think that the media will also have to fight this whole concept of stigma. What I have recently seen, so the newspapers are directly the person who is they have reported on as and their names are being from stories. Sorry, means is it clear?
Hello, Dave, your voice is echoing.
Hello.
Yeah, your voice is echoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think someone has kept his mic. Someone has.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let me check.
Okay. So what we have seen is
Yeah,
that
now I
many
can
of
hear.
the
Yeah.
newspapers, yes, many of the newspapers have directly reported the names of the patients. And we must understand that the people who are suffering from COVID-19 are actually they are basically people who cannot blame. So this whole blame game should actually stop. And what we have stigma, people in the US and also in India. In the US, the people of Asian origin are actually facing a lot of discrimination and means even to the extent of physical assault. Even in India, some stories have emerged that people from northeastern origin have actually been attacked in Delhi, and they are being referred to as corona and other things. So the media will have to actually stop. And also, we have seen this whole Tablighi Jamaat incident in which the media have, to a great extent, used phrases like Corona Jihad, Islamic insurrection, Corona terrorism, and all those things. And this fake news, we can call it as fake news, and a lack of understanding on the part of journalists, and which have actually led to a lot of discrimination for these people. And there are real consequences on the ground. Many people have actually like there were reports in which people are saying that they are no longer buying their vegetables from people from a particular are actually many of the things are propagated by even the mainstream media. The media will have to basically play a very important role in stopping misinformation, stigma. And one of the problems with this whole concept of stigma is that if a lot of uh, pressure is put on the person who is suffering from the disease, is the very fact that those persons or people who are actually showing symptoms will not come out in open for treatment or for identification, which is actually not a very good thing for containing the virus. Okay, so the last point that I'd like to focus is on balance of reporting. So we all know that people, and I think Pankaj sir has already discussed about the psychological impact of this whole COVID-19, and we are inside lockdown. I am in lockdown, I think, inside my house for more than 1 month, I think 2 months now. So, which also has a psychological impact. So, the media, and we are constantly looking into media for news reports. So, the media will have to balance it out when it is reporting. It will have to show us what in which we are not doing well, and also the areas in which we are doing well. For example, the kind of recoveries which are happening. The media will also have to bring out positive stories, and also will have to point out where we are basically lacking. So, with this, I conclude.
Yeah. Hello, Dave. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting kind of a presentation that you have made on the topic that has been assigned to you. You have talked about what is the role of the media during this COVID-19, and more particularly, you have talked about how the role of the media has been changing over the years, and what are the issues that comes up more particularly pertaining to COVID-19 and the role of the media. And you have talked about how there has been lots of misinformation, stigmas, false news are also around the corner regarding COVID-19, and how it has enters into the general public, and how it is created as some kind of a stigma in the minds of the people. So there must be a balance to be maintained by the media houses regarding reporting the COVID-19. So there must be some questions regarding it. I also have some questions on it to you. I will ask in the letter when the question hour will start. I thank you for deliberating in such an important concept. Topic regarding the role of media communication in. Are you online, Diponi? Dr. Gogoi, Diponi Gogoi?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
So there are a couple of questions to you. The first question that has been asked by one of my students. His name is Darshan Juti Bhuya. He's an undergraduate student. So Darshan Juti Bhuya want to know from you, like, since you have talked about the misinformation, popularized by the media, more particularly by the social media. So he want to know how to stop the spread of this misinformation to reach to the common people. how to stop the misinformation to reach to the common people. Okay, and he want to ask, is there any way out? Is there any way out to tackling this problem of spreading of misinformation to reach the common people? This is the first question. And there is second question. Do you want to? Shall I give it now or?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The second question has been asked by one of my colleagues. Her name is Mrs. Jutika Patil. She's an assistant professor from Department of History. She wanted to know that even during this COVID-19 situation, there are information that many of the people living in the interior places or remotest part of India, more particularly in Assam, they were not aware about this COVID-19. They are not aware about the COVID-19. Because is that a problem inside the media, that the media has failed to carry out the information of awareing people regarding COVID-19. And she has in more particularly given example of one of the important tribes from Tinsukia, where this entire tribe is completely, ignorant about this COVID-19 epidemic. So, what is the role of media and the government, and the policymakers, in popular awareing people regarding COVID-19? So, these are the two questions asked to you.
Yes, sir. Yes. So basically, what I'll do is like I'll try to combine both the questions and then I'll try to answer.
Okay.
So what we normally see is that in a crisis situation, what we see is that the government becomes very, very powerful. Even now, the central government is very powerful. And then we have also seen that the government approached the Supreme Court regarding putting some restrictions on the reporting of COVID-19. So, but then we want the free media, and free media is very, very essential. And what we have learned from China is the fact that if China had a free press, then it would have reported the COVID crisis much earlier and the world would have known about it. So that is one thing. So rather than giving the responsibility of regulating the media on the government, it is the media that will have to regulate itself. Okay, so one of the things that I have also mentioned in my presentation is the fact that the reporters are not well trained whenever we talk about the situations of health. So we don't have so Heinz noted, but in the present situation, what we can see is that the media houses will have to look into guidelines which were provided by WHO. Just as I've also mentioned that like some Assamese newspapers have actually named the COVID patients, okay, and their location and everything. So which is actually against even the government guidelines. So even government guidelines are not followed by the journalists themselves. So the journalists will have to be very, very like vigilant in such a situation, and then they will have to also, since most of these are guidelines, so it might not be punished.
Mm-hmm.
But then the thing is that the journalist will also have to make his own judgment regarding whenever he is actually going out and reporting. They will have to be better trained, and the revenue model actually doesn't support now, or most of the media houses have cut down reporting from rural areas. So that is one problem. So I think the media people will have to be very, very alert, like regarding the guidelines, and they will have to use their judgment. They will have to read. They will have to read the guidelines provided by WHO or the health department of the government. Second, in terms of misinformation or in the region, in many rural pockets, the information has not reached. So in such a situation, I think the regional media will have to play an important role. And one of the, this is an unprecedented situation. So the people cannot be gathered at one place and told what to do and what not to do. So the media will have to pitch in basically. So the regional media's role is very, very important here. And now, means I stay in Noida. So what I have seen here is that every evening, what we see or what we hear is that like mics are being used. They actually come out in an auto, and then they also deliver information like what are the updates and what are the things that people should do. Like for example, there is also like what are the precautions that should be done. They then they means announce it through a big mic. Okay, so that is also happening. So which is a traditional way, and community radio could have played an important role. I don't know how much. We don't have many community radios in India. We don't have one in Dibrugarh University. We have one in Guwahati University. So radio could have played an important role, but AIR can play an important role now because in many areas it is still there. And one of the other things that we have seen in the state of Kerala, is that there is a system of coming out with regular health bulletins by the health department of Kerala, and people do listen to the bulletin. So the regional media can actually play a very important role in uh, telecasting or broadcasting those health bulletins regularly. Okay, so it should come out at a time like this, or in 7 to 8 o'clock time is the one time in which everyone gathers and they switch on to their TV screen. So a time can we have to actually think of a communication strategy which can actually reach at in various languages. For example, Assam is a state of many languages. So in Assam, we have to actually telecast the health bulletin in different languages. So
Yeah.
in US, we see often that the health bulletin is being presented, and then we also see a person who means interpret the information for people who have problems with listening or hearing. So we are not doing it that in that level, but we have to do it in terms of language also. At least in that front, we can move a little forward. Like in different languages, it should be done. For example, in a state like Assam. Uh, so basically, those are my points. So I think it. I don't know if you have covered both the questions.
Okay. Thank you, Deep. I hope that the questions that has been asked has been addressed, and they have got. Okay, Diponi, Dr. Diponi Gogoi. Okay, Dr. Gogoi, are you online?
Yes, yes,
Yes, yes,
yes,
yeah.
sir.
Ask,
Yes.
ask.
Yes. Yes. Means I think means it has already like it is a continuation. It is not as if this whole communalization drive has started by the media only in the context of COVID-19. I think this has been going on for some time now. So what like means even for the migrant crisis. So one of the very prominent and well-known journalists of India after this whole alcohol ban was removed, what I have seen is that he had tweeted saying that people have actually money to buy alcohol, but they doesn't have money to pay the railway fare after this whole controversy have emerged. So basically, the media actually, we also have to think that one of the problem is with the medium. Okay, we have to understand that whenever you go paper, you will find sensible reporting being done. If you go to the web, like, many of the portals are doing some good work, but one of the problem of the television medium is to cook a story or basically to make a story which is very means easy to understand and one doesn't have to means apply much of a brain. So in very simple language, that's what I can say. So means it is very easy. It becomes very easy to become or target someone rather than going and doing some reporting. For example, I think when this whole incident in this whole, I think this incident of migrant workers uh, uh, gathering at Mumbai, when that happened, we had seen that many, like even some channels which are based in Mumbai, had not gone to the place where this had happened, which is barely 12 kilometers from their studios. So the journalists are actually not taking even that to the place where this whole incident is happening, and then the whole reporting is done on speculative basis. Like it could be the reason, one could be it's involved in that. So they are not talking directly to the migrants, but then they are putting up stories. So on point of whole communal angle, I think means it is a part of, or it is actually a continuum. It is happening from some years now, and it is not as if it is only happening in terms of COVID. Okay, so that is what is my answer. Basically.
Okay, thank you, Deep. There is another question to you by one of my colleague. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So there is another question to you only by one of my colleague, Dr. Nandita Datta from Department of Hindi. She wanted to know, many a time there has been lots of misguidance been made by the media houses. More particularly, if you talk about Assam in more particularly, the Assam media houses, mean most particularly this electronic media, they have created lots of rumors,
Yes.
Misguidance to the public. So, what is your reaction to it? Like, is there any check balance kind of thing? what role should be the media houses regarding this particular situation?
Yes, actually, we have been discussing this whole concept. Yeah, this whole concept only from some time. What we have seen basically is that the media will have to actually take control of what it is trying to speak. It means, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay, so the point here, the point is that the media will have to take control of what it is actually bringing out news. Otherwise, there is this whole danger of government taking control of what the media should be doing. So media will have to take responsibility. And one of the other thing, apart from coming out of government regulation, is also the fact that the media loses its credibility, basically. Okay, so media is losing credibility, and we can say that whenever we get a news from any TV channel, it is not as if we believe it immediately. Okay, so media is going through a lot of credibility crisis, so we often go for different other sources. And some of the questions that were presented by the students, and I'm glad that they have pointed out that how to actually fact check. So one student have actually talked about reverse Google search. Okay, we have similar things. Okay, so one of the things that we can do is like to introduce a course like this, just like we have a course on environmental studies. We can also have a course on media literacy or to understand media.
True.
Like it means irrespective of any department, since media is part of our life, and we are consuming media like every moment of our life. There, I think hardly any time when we don't look at the phone screen or laptops. So we are continuously using media. So what I would suggest is that we can have a course on media in every college or at the bachelor maybe, so that the people can understand how to take information, be like informed, and how they can make an informed choice of believing in a particular news story or not believing in a news story. So that is a way out, I think.
Okay, thank you, Deep. Now, is there any question by the participants? Yeah, introduce yourself and ask the question. Yeah. Dr. Deka has ePolitica. These are actually created for the benefits of the students, research scholars, and civil service aspirants. And I hope it is for some help to you. Please do subscribe and share the channel among your friends, colleagues, and students if you did not. And if you have any query, please feel free to write to me at gogoi.suseng@gmail.com. And I would also request my students, the listeners, if you have any doubts regarding these modules, do not hesitate to ask me question in the comment section, and also putting a mail to me. And if you need any materials from me, you can also write to me at gogoi.suseng@gmail.com. With this, I signing off. Thank you for watching ePolitica. Keep watching. Stay home. Stay safe. Jai Hind.